Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's kind of a big day, at least for me anyways. One thing we've been missing on our Bobcat tractor is a grapple and the third function that would operate the grapple. Well, today we're going to put the third function valve on. I'm going to show you how it goes on this FL9 loader, and we also got a grapple to go with it, and if everything goes well, we're gonna try, put that on and try it out right away. So the kit we're using over here, and I talked to my dealer where we got the tractor, and they said you can get a OEM kit from Bobcat, but they use the WR Long third function kits, and they say they go in a lot easier than the OEM ones, and they're really popular. So I said, well, what the heck? We'll try that. Unfortunately, when we went in, they didn't have it in stock. So I had to wait another week or so for it to come in, but it is here. So the basic premise is you have this dual solenoid valve that's electrically actuated. And this gets mounted up here on the loader handle. So there are two ways you can do this. You can mount it on the outside, and you mount it to these two bolts that hold this cover on. So you can put it like this, and the valve would be on the outside. Or you can put it on the inside, like that. We're going to put it on the inside because, if you leave it out here on the outside, it just is like you're begging for something to happen to it, getting banged by something or whatever. So we're going to mount it on the inside. So the first thing you should do, though, is move your loader around. And you see it's actually moving a little bit to get the hydraulic pressure off of this. And I have the ballast box all the way down on the 3-point. So the general premise of this, because this is a true third function, is you need to take the power beyond that feeds the loader valve, run it into this valve, and put a jumper hose between this, back to this one again. It's pretty straightforward. Some of the smaller tractors have the loader handles up here in the fender, and that installation is a little more involved. You have to take the seat off and things like that to get at some plumbing. So I'm thinking this should go pretty straightforward. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. So let's get started here. Loosen this third function, or this power beyond port. Off of here. Have this rag just in case there's any residual pressure. Okay. Okay, so that is off. There's a little oil that'll come out of there. Now, if I'm going to mount the valve on that side, this hose actually goes over the top of this mounting bracket. It'll be difficult to get it over to where that is. So what I'm going to do is cut this cable tie, and I'm going to move the hose to the other side so it's easier. Okay, so that, now this hose, of course, is like, for Christ's sakes. There. Now here's the instructions you get with this thing. One page, two-sided. One side describes the electrical connections, the other one is the the valve installation. So what it says is you take the power beyond port on the loader valve and connect it to the T port. So they have two basic port nomenclatures, T and P. So T stands for tank and P stands for power. So we're going to divert this on the bottom here, P and T. So it's going to go like that. I am going to get this started here. I had heard someone say that when you do these, it's better to get it started before you mount the valve because it gets kind of cramped in there. I said, well, that makes sense. Let's thread on there now. Be nice. Okay, so I got that hand tight. We'll let that sit there for a second. Then the other part you got to put in is this rather freakishly long jumper hose. For this, it could probably be quite a bit shorter, but maybe there's a reason they want it that way. I don't know. This is what they sent me. So let's get that on there. Hydraulic oil is slippery. Good. And then this needs to go, minus the plastic plug. Yeah, today's April Fool's Day 2023. Last night there was a lot of severe weather around. We got lucked out around here. We got a lot of rain, but to the south of us in Illinois and Iowa, a bunch of tornadoes. And to the north, they're dealing like blizzard conditions. So there. Ta-da. Apparently that's all that's to it. Hold on, I'm going to get some rags here. Got a rag. Now I'm going to take these bolts off of this cover. 13 millimeter. That was the 1 metric socket we had to search for.
Always.
Always. Okay, I got a lock washer and a washer. Now, try to get this up here.
Out of curiosity, does it make more sense to put it between there?
Put it between where?
Here.
Well, that isn't what I'm worried about here. Seems like this thing needs to be more like that. So get in. Boy, that's tight. Well, the other thing we can do, I was hoping if you put it to this side, it will fit in these holes. And if you go from the other side, it has to span. But it looks like if I try to go to these ones, these fittings are just kind of getting in the way. So, let's see if this works. Now, let's tighten up these fittings and get that. Make sure everything is okay there. These are kind of a taper JIC fitting. Because one reason they said to kind of get them started on here, because it is a little tougher to get in here. Okay, now in theory, we are good to go. I'll put a new cable tie around there. All right, that part appears to be done. Now the next thing we're going to do is route the hoses up towards the front. Almost looks like I could utilize this hoop that they got there. Get these on there. They do not have the fittings in there yet. Each end of these has couplings. And they do give you the couplings for everything. Again, these are these JIC connectors. They're ground fitting. There's no tape or anything required. I know we checked that one. It looked, John, it looked magnetic, but or it looked like it was stainless steel, but it was magnetic. They're a pretty high quality one. be that way. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay, now we'll try to route it along this existing hydraulic hose that feeds the loader. The other thing is they didn't provide any kind of this protective wrap for that. We'll probably order some of that at some point maybe and wrap them up. We shall see if I actually do it or not. Before we do the rest of that, let's get this front part put on. Now, what do you think, Jen? The odds are that's a 13 millimeter there.
Oh, probably pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. It is. Now they have this mounting plate right here, which I think potentially is for the OEM kit. But the WR long one will utilize these bolts that protects these hard hydraulic lines on the torque tube here. So let me, here, I'll let my lovely assistant hold that for a minute. Take this on. Okay. So there's couplings on each end where you have, say, this top one, which starts with a female, it converts to a male. Then on that end, following suit, it should go back to female again. At least that's my theory, and I'm standing behind it. So this is the female hose, this one. We're going to put that.
I don't know, but Sarah's very interested.
Yeah, where our 1-year-old husky is fine and dandy, bouncing around last night out here and running around, and we got up this morning and she would not get up. She couldn't move. And we're thinking, well, what happened? Did she hurt herself or whatever? Well, Jenny ran her into the vet right away this morning, like, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm at home waiting for the call, like, oh boy. It turned out she has Lyme's disease. And if you know anything about that, after a while, the bacteria affects the joints, and she was so sore she couldn't move. Now the interesting thing is you know, we pay for the premium treatment on that, which to use this Simpurica Trio, I think we gotta have a little bit of extra space here front. So we're on the Simpurica Trio, which takes fleas and ticks and heartworm, I guess, is it right? Mm-hmm. And it's quite expensive, but it seems to work. But she was on that, and she still got Lyme's disease, so it's kind of similar to a vaccine. Don't think you can't get it just because you take it. At any rate, she got some medication, and she's up here right now. She's feeling a little better already. It's one of those things that you know, after you get moving, you loosen up, then she kind of feels halfway decent. Now, I don't want to attach directly to these hard lines, so I'm going to see if I can sneak around this. Okay. I don't know if we gonna not do anything else with this right now until I can move this around and make sure we got enough play in it. But essentially, of the mechanical hydraulic work, we're done. So it's about the easiest thing in the world. Now the back side of the instructions is the electrical. That's the one that's a little more interesting. Thing is, here is the way this works is you replace the handle on the end of your loader valve, and there's an electric switch that fits in here, and you use that. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. Probably like this. I'm not sure how they want you to orientate that. And we're not getting much from that. So, but we'll play with it. So there's two sets of wires that come out of this valve. If you look, one has 3 wires in it. It's a blue, a yellow, and a green. And this other one is just 1 wire. It's a copper wire. This is your power. Looks like it's a red wire. So first things first. Someone really gotta be kidding me. Someone had that on there really tight because once it broke. Oh, well, look at that. The whole handle's coming out. Interesting. Even had Loctite on it. I don't know what to do. It looks like they put a little Loctite on there too. A little, I don't. There's something on there. At any rate, yeah. You can see a bunch of red stuff in there. Interesting. So it looks like you can do this with an Allen wrench. Let me get one quick. Probably 5 times the length of wire I actually need to accomplish this. This goes through there's a hole right here, and you feed this up through there. This will come down here. I'll leave that. Let's see if I can get some organization to this. So does this make sense? Like this, and then the handle's down there, or does it make sense to, I don't know, I'm gonna have to play with that. I'm not really sure what the best orientation for that is, honestly. I am going to hold that with a piece of wire loom. Let me grab that quick. Okay, got some wire loom there, need about that long. See if this is big enough. I do have larger stuff if I need to get it. I don't know. You might have to go bigger. Go big or go home, huh? Yeah, let me get some bigger stuff. Next size wire loom I have is like way too big. So I'm going to put this on here for now. This is not duct tape. This is harness tape for making wire harnesses. I think this stuff kind of cures after it sits for a while. It works really well. I've made wire harnesses with it. So I probably will go get a piece of plastic wire loom to put on there at some point when I get the right diameter. Okay, good. So now we'll leave a little bit of this in here. Should I cut it?
No.
Make sure I have the right wire. Yep. Okay. And this will be one of the 100,000 things that I've laying around my shop that you'll say there'll be a use for it someday. But I'm not one that can throw stuff like that out. I don't know why that's does not seem to want to go in there all the way. Let me see this once now. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good orientation. That'll be fine. The Bobcat has an OEM third function kit that is available for it. And it operates in a similar way. It uses electric solenoid valves to share the flow. If you look in the fuse box, and I'll put a picture up here on this video to show it, there's a slot there for a 10 amp fuse for the optional third function valve. Now the trick is, where the heck does that connect into? Now I bought the $160 something service manual for this thing, and I think I had mentioned a while back in a video about this that it's not very detailed on the wire harness and what goes where. I was able to find a couple of connectors up underneath, but I haven't been able to determine whether those are the ones I'm supposed to be using or not. So for the interim, I'm going to route it, this power wire, to the back where I know there's a power. I hope I have enough wire to do it. If not, then I'm going to have to go to the battery. I don't want to necessarily go to the battery because then it's going to have power all the time. And it's not necessarily the worst thing. I did find a forum that had someone was inquiring about how to do this, and he posted the actual Bobcat installation instructions, but for the FL7 and FL8 loaders, the smaller ones, and they're a little different. But that manual says hook it to the battery, which I'm not going to do that if it has a... There's a factory circuit for third function. I'm going to find where it is, but right now I don't. So we'll just get this thing hooked up and make sure it's working, and then when I do find that out, I'm going to switch it to that. I know if you look at any, one of my older videos when I talked about these work lights right here, the instructions were clearly for one of the smaller tractors, and they had me trying to put the switch in the wrong place, and they gave me supposedly I had to mount a relay to the frame, but the parts they gave me didn't match. Well, again, check your fuse box, because there was a slot in there for front work light kit. And then I was in the same situation. Well, where does it plug in? So Jenny and I were tearing apart the dash to find it. I'd refer you back to that video if you want some entertainment. But there apparently is a circuit for operating this kind of valve. So, well, I might have to configure wire there for the sake of ending the misery. Let's run it up to the battery and make sure it works. So I can feed it behind the hydraulic pump here. Something in the way. Yep. Yes, there is. Okay. All right. So. That's very interesting. Okay. Come up. Does it go anywhere? Does this come through there? Oh. kind of in the right spot there.
Well, you were in the hole and then you took it out. So, but you're by the battery.
What hole?
That hole you were poking at before. You're by the battery. That's all that matters, right?
So if we're going to do this route, then we got to put a inline fuse on it, and they provide you with one. So in theory, they should have power, be able to click the switch.
I don't know. How do you tell it has power?
Well, listen, you can hear the...
Oh, you can hear it. I can't.
I'll come closer so the listeners can hear. So, yes, it is working. All right. So I'm going to break the video here. I'll clean this up, and we're going to fire it up, check for leaks, and then put the grapple on. All right, we rolling. Let's start it up and see if make sure we don't have any leaks. Okay. All right. Now let's see the works.
What's leaking? Ugh.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, is that hydraulic oil all over the place?
Yeah. Sure is.
No, they didn't have their connections tight.
Maybe not.
Frickin' A, don't you love it when that happens?
All right, well. Okay. Then we can put this one back on. That's all right. Wasting a little hydraulic oil. It's only about $65 for a 2.5 gallon. Okay.
Note to self, always check hydraulic fittings when they come from the factory, I guess.
One of these. All right, let's try it again.
Grace.
So you can see it works, but one of the fittings from the Grapple from the factory was not even hand tight, and it was squirted hydraulic oil out all over the damn place, which is fun. And this is a very tight area to tighten these up, and so the only real answer is to take the one in front of it off, then you could get at the one behind it, so that's fine. All right, not a big deal. All right, so here it is. Now, this is a Grapple from Titan Implements. They are now known as IronCraft. This is what they call their economy grapple. It's a 60-inch one. It's got, this one has the dual cylinders. And I figured for what we need to use it for, that's fine. They go up quite a bit in price when you want to get some of their higher end ones. Now, we really didn't want to spend a lot of money on a grapple and a third function, but we needed to do it. But as you recall from some of my previous videos, I was having a problem with my 3-point log splitter, and the company that made that sent a new one for a replacement, and I took the old one back in, and we went and looked at the new one and said, you know what, this is made just like the one that broke on me. And so I went to our dealer and I said, listen, how about I get a credit and I'll buy something, you know, that you have here for a credit. And, you know, to their credit, they said, yeah. And the dealer that I work with is Jay's Power Center out of Reedsburg, Wisconsin. And sales manager for the lawn and turf is Josh Handel. Just been excellent to work with. So I traded in for the third function kit But that was actually less. It was like $900. It was less than what I paid for the 3-point splitter. And so he credited it towards buying this Grapple, which was about $2,000 out of pocket then. And so, you know, it was one of those things like, well, this is what we needed and that's what we did. Now, the other thing we did that we didn't want to really plan on is we got a brand new trailer over there too. That's a 18-foot plus 2 industrial skid steer trailer, 14,000 pound. But I needed something for either hauling this beast around or going to get hay for the steers. So yeah, a lot of big spending around here lately, but it's what we needed to do. Especially if you saw our last video, we had all this tree work done with the tree service, and I need to get this thing out here and start cleaning some of this stuff up now that the grass is starting to green up and whatnot. So real glad to have it, glad it works. I'll do another video with it, putting it to work. I may go around and make sure all these other fittings are good, but note that all the fittings I installed are not leaking. Everything's working perfectly. So installing this third function kit, you know, without all the filming for the YouTube, making videos and stuff like that, you could probably do this in an hour, really. I mean, the hydraulic part you saw, that was probably 20 minutes. It's just messing around with the wiring and whatnot. Right now the power is coming from the battery, but ultimately I think I'm going to run it, find where that fuse wire is for the OEM kit and wire it into there, and then the valves won't have power until the key switch is on, because right now it's live all the time, which I'm not a fan of, but it's working. So at any rate, thanks for watching. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe, share with your friends or whatever. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.